Welcome to Faith Journey Hub, the place where world events meet the Word of God. I am telling you, right now, in the first week of June 2026, the signs are not subtle anymore. They are screaming. Stay with me. Between June the 3rd and June the 7th of 2026, in just 5 days, here's what was reported across this earth. North Korea's Kim Jong Un personally inspected a brand new plant built to produce fuel for nuclear weapons. Iranian strikes set Kuwait's largest airport on fire. Israeli strikes killed at least 21 people in southern Lebanon in a single day, and Hezbollah rejected the ceasefire outright. In Gaza, 9 people were killed when residential buildings were struck. The United Nations confirmed that 19.5 million people in Sudan are facing acute hunger, with famine already confirmed in 2 regions. And Russia launched over 700 drones and missiles on Ukraine in one night, killing 22 people. June the 3rd, 2026. North Korean state media released the images. Kim Jong Un walking personally through a brand new facility, a plant built for one purpose, producing fuel for nuclear weapons. He told the world, and I am quoting the reporting directly, that his country has, quote, more than doubled its capacity to produce weapons-grade nuclear material in just the past 5 years. And he said he intends to, quote, beef up the state's nuclear forces at an exponential rate. 3 days later, his sister, Kim Yo-jong, told the world, North Korea will never back down from its nuclear status. And next week, China's President Xi Jinping flies to Pyongyang for the first time in nearly 6 years. North Korea, a new plant built to produce fuel for nuclear weapons. Kim Jong Un said his nation more than doubled its nuclear material capacity in just 5 years and plans to grow it exponentially. Confirmed by CNN and NPR, June 3, 2026. Jesus Christ said it. 20 centuries ago, there will come a time of great distress, unequaled from the beginning of the world. And he said if those days were not cut short, no one would survive. Think about that. One nation, North Korea, already has enough nuclear material to threaten entire regions. And this week, their leader stood in front of cameras and promised to multiply it exponentially. Matthew chapter 24. Verse 21 and 22. We are in those days. Now look toward the Persian Gulf. On June the 2nd and 3rd, Iranian strikes set Kuwait's largest airport ablaze in the middle of what was supposed to be a fragile ceasefire with the United States. CNN reported it live. Talks between Washington and Tehran are, quote, hanging by a thread, with Iranian officials saying they are prepared for, quote, any scenario, even a direct confrontation. Meanwhile, in Washington, the United States House of Representatives took the extraordinary step of voting to limit President Trump's war powers in Iran, a direct rebuke from his own government. And through it all, oil shipments through the Strait of Hormuz, the passage that carries 1/5 of the world's oil, remain mostly shut. Kuwait, its largest airport, set ablaze by Iranian strikes. Washington and Tehran's talks are hanging by a thread. Iran says it is ready for any scenario, even direct confrontation. The Strait of Hormuz remains mostly closed, confirmed by CNN and NPR. Ezekiel chapter 38, written 600 years before Christ. In his vision of the last great war, the prophet listed the nations that would rise. Persia. And where is Persia on a modern map? Iran. The same nation striking Kuwait this week. The same nation closing shipping lanes that carry the world's oil. The same nation telling the world it is ready for direct confrontation. Ezekiel saw this 600 years before Jesus walked the earth, and it is unfolding exactly as he described this week, in June of 2026. Friday, June the 5th, 2026. CNN reported that Israeli strikes on southern Lebanon killed at least 21 people, in a single day. And Hezbollah responded the only way it knows how, by rejecting the fragile, US-facilitated ceasefire altogether. A senior American official went on record defending the Israel-Lebanon agreement, saying Iran wanted to, quote, prolong the conflict as part of a cynical strategy. Reporters are now asking the obvious question, the same one Al Jazeera put in print this week. If ceasefires are supposedly in place, why do the strikes keep coming? Southern Lebanon, June 5th. At least 21 people killed in Israeli strikes. Hezbollah rejected the ceasefire outright. A senior U.S. official says Iran is deliberately prolonging this conflict. The truce in the Middle East is falling apart in real time. The prophet Zechariah, writing 500 years before Jesus was born, said that in the last days, all the nations of the earth would be gathered against Jerusalem. Look at what is happening this very week. Lebanon, Hezbollah, Iran backing them both. 21 people killed in a single day, and the response was not peace. It was rejection of peace. The prophet saw this convergence. He wrote it down. And here we are, watching it confirmed on CNN. Zechariah chapter 12, verse 2 and 3. Now to Gaza. Al Jazeera reported that on June the 4th, Israeli strikes on residential buildings in Gaza City killed 9 people, setting homes ablaze and leaving entire blocks in ruins. The very next day, June the 5th, an 18-year-old was killed and 16 others wounded when a strike hit a tent sheltering displaced families in Khan Younis in the south. A ceasefire has technically been in place since October of 2025, but investigators have now identified 40 separate Israeli military outposts entrenched inside Gaza, and officials say Israel intends to control 70% of the territory. A ceasefire on paper. Strikes, displacement, and ruins on the ground. Gaza City. 9 killed when residential buildings were struck. 1 day later, a tent sheltering displaced families in Khan Younis was hit, an 18-year-old killed, 16 wounded. 40 Israeli military outposts confirmed inside Gaza. A ceasefire exists only on paper. John wrote of a black horse and a rider holding scales, a vision of devastation and scarcity in the same breath. Families in Khan Younis are sleeping in tents. Families in Gaza City are searching ruins for loved ones. And the prophet said Jerusalem and the peoples around her would become the center of the world's anguish in the last days. Revelation chapter 6. The seals are opening, not as legend, as this week's headlines. Now let me take you somewhere the cameras rarely go. Sudan, Africa. The Food and Agriculture Organization, the World Food Program, and UNICEF released a joint statement this season. Nearly 19.5 million people in Sudan are facing acute food insecurity right now. The United Nations has officially confirmed famine in the regions of Al-Fashir and Kaduli, with the risk of famine spreading to 20 more areas across Darfur and Kordofan. An estimated 825,000 children under the age of 5 are expected to suffer severe acute malnutrition this year alone, a 7% increase over last year. And the United Nations has warned plainly that things will get worse, not better. Sudan. The United Nations has confirmed famine officially in Al-Fashir and Kaduli. 19.5 million people facing acute hunger, 825,000 children at risk of severe malnutrition, and officials say it is going to get worse before it gets better. The black horse, the rider with the scales. John wrote this on the island of Patmos 2,000 years ago, a picture of famine so severe that a person works an entire day just to earn enough food for one person, for one day. 19.5 million people in Sudan, officially confirmed by the United Nations, are living that exact verse right now. Revelation chapter 6, verse 5 and 6. The seals are opening. Not tomorrow. Now. And then there is Ukraine. The war that will not end. As confirmed by Ukraine's own military command, as of June the 6th, 2026, Russian forces have suffered an estimated 1,372,270 total personnel losses since the full-scale invasion began in February of 2022. One night this week alone, Al Jazeera confirmed it. Russia launched 656 drones and 73 missiles across Ukraine in a single overnight barrage, striking Kiev, Dnipro, Poltava, Kharkiv, and Zaporizhia. At least 22 people were killed, dozens more wounded. In response, Ukraine struck an oil terminal deep inside Russian territory in St. Petersburg, Ukraine. One overnight barrage, 656 drones, 73 missiles, 22 people killed across 5 cities. Russian personnel losses now approaching 1.4 million since the war began in 2022, confirmed by Al Jazeera and Ukraine's own military command. Jesus, sitting on the Mount of Olives, his disciples asked him, "What will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?" And he said, "You will hear of wars, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom, famines." Now look at what we just covered. Confirmed, sourced, reported by CNN, NPR, Al Jazeera, and the United Nations in 5 days. Russia against Ukraine, Iran against Kuwait and the United States, Israel against Lebanon and Gaza. Sudan in officially confirmed famine. North Korea promising to multiply its nuclear arsenal. All of it verified, simultaneously, in the same week. Jesus said, so what does it all mean? When you put June 3rd through 7th together, verified, sourced, dated, what are you actually looking at? North Korea promising to multiply its nuclear arsenal. Iran striking an airport in Kuwait while Congress moves to rein in the president. Lebanon rejecting peace after 21 deaths in 1 day. Gaza buried under ruins despite a so-called ceasefire. Sudan in officially declared famine, 19.5 million hungry, and Russia firing 700 drones and missiles at Ukraine in a single night. This is not a coincidence. This is not a collection of random bad news from random corners of the earth. This is convergence confirmed by the very news organizations that have no interest in proving the. So what do you do with all of this? You have two choices. You can scroll past it, go back to your day, and pretend things are normal. Or you can do what 2 Chronicles chapter 7 verse 14 says, "If my people, who are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, and I will forgive their sin and will heal their land." It is time to return to God, not next week, not after things get worse. Today, right now, get on your knees and call out to the one who holds all of this in his hands. Thank you for watching Faith Journey Hub. If this video spoke to you, share it. Someone you know needs to hear this. Subscribe so you do not miss the next episode. We are tracking these signs every week with sourced, verified reporting because every week the Bible proves itself true again. God bless you. Stay in the Word. And I will see you next time.